Hello everyone, my name is Naveen Gane. I'm here to talk about the current trends in the industry and how IAU can help us. First of all, I would like to thank you all for taking the time to join and check out this session. Hopefully, it helps us. The time is put on this one is well worth it. There are quite a few videos out there. I mean, if you just go in and check the dls.gov or just Google, okay, what are the best careers in the US for the next 20 years. The one consistent uh, job market that you will see is about IT industry. Okay, so when we say IT industry, IT stands for information technology, or it is also loosely used with information systems or any generally any technology background that we see. And there are a lot of not just jobs but careers, very how do you put it, very exciting careers out there for those who are interested in venturing out, I mean, going out of their comfort zone and looking into different areas. So what are we going to do in this session? We are going to talk about the IT industry, as I said. But before I do that, I want to take a moment to appreciate IAU leadership and the academics and the folks who are part of this session. Uh, there are a lot of colleges that offer a lot of programs. MBA programs, we have seen quite a few MBA programs. But IAU, what I have found here is that they have this culture to bridge the gap between what an IAU, what a degree offers to what the market is looking for. I think that's a significant differentiator for any particular program that we look at. Okay, and definitely, I have not seen it in a lot of places. I mean, not just in the US, but also in other countries. It's not a very common trade, and definitely shout out to folks who are actually putting the time and effort and investment to actually make that happen. Okay, so let's get into like a basic introduction. My name is Naveen Gane. So I'll get into my work later on. But so I have an MBA from Kellogg School of Management, and actually the thing that's more relevant for us here is my master's in engineering from Texas A&M. This is almost I think 20 years ago. The reason it is relevant is like most of us here. So my engineering background is actually in electronics, VLS sites about chips, the computer chips that we have, or maybe a self-driving chip in Tesla or whatever. But nothing close to what I'm doing right now, which is information systems. So what I found then was that IS information systems or IT was actually picking up, and I took a chance. These are one of those moments we all of us have where we either regret taking it or sometimes maybe regret not taking it. Fortunately for me, I took it, and I think I'm glad I did. So I took some IS courses at that point and tried my hand out. I tried my luck out with IS, information systems, and been in this market for 20 plus years now. It's been a pretty fulfilling career for me so far. So I had a chance to work on more than 25 clients. Some of those that we can recognize here: SC Johnson, PetSmart, Dolby Labs, Bayer, BC Hydro, Whirlpool, Capgemini, Deloitte Consulting, etc. So pretty much my work here is actually I go to these companies and they have different information systems and different problems or something they're trying to build. So I work with the clients and understand what are they trying to build and help them plan it, and sometimes actually help them design different roles at different times and different places. But essentially, I'm involved in building these information systems. Okay, global exposure is another thing that comes from this particular field. So these are some of the countries I either visited or supported from here. Uh, a really fun time. So if you are actually into consulting, so information systems, IT industry offers a lot of consulting opportunities. Great career for someone who is interested in traveling, meeting new people, facing new challenges, as compared to any other job market that I have seen. Okay. So serial entrepreneur. So the good part with being in this IT industry, which I found, is that if you have an idea, you can actually take it all the way to the market very easily as compared to any other industry. If you want to set up a, let's say, if you want to find a new COVID vaccine for that matter, you will end up investing billions, if not hundred tens of millions, and it's going to take 5 years. But if you have an idea, for example, Exelsys 360 was an idea where we wanted to build one um, platform for colleges and schools to bring all their operations. It took us at the most 1 year to have something out there. It is because there is no, obviously, most of the software projects or software products are asset light, what we call asset light. So as long as you have a strong idea and there's a market for your product, it is much easier to bring it in. So for someone who's aspiring to be an entrepreneur, and if you know what you want to do, it's a great place to be. It's been a great place to be for the last 20 years, obviously. The other thing is, one thing I have seen in other places where I've been asked is, okay, don't you have to be a hardcore programmer? That's what they show in the movies, right? So if you are into software, you are like coding the hell out of the system. It's actually not entirely true if you think about it. Yeah, you need programmers. So you need programmers to build out stuff, but that can nowadays that can also be done in offshore, whether it's India or it's in Mexico or Costa Rica or Eastern Europe or some places. But you always need a person who understands the market and the requirement to be in the States. So that job always stays. Putting it in a different way, think about Apple. Apple, we have Steve Jobs and we have Wozniak. So Wozniak was a guy who did pretty much most of the coding, but no one can underplay or like not recognize the role of Steve Jobs. His job was to get the requirements, make sure the product was being built according to the requirements, the coding was happening, then make sure it was tested correctly, and then to validate if the product is what they want. So that is the role of a business analyst or a project manager or a CETO at some point. So that is the line that we are, as an MBA grad with MIS, is something that's the area that we can explore. Okay. Again, so these are some of the consulting. These are some of the companies I have founded in the past 20 years. Most of these have been in the past 10 years. Most of these are US based. A few of them are India. Actually, I had a Canadian company, but it was just to support one particular company called British Columbia Hydroelectricity. So just but most of these companies we have here, this is for the EdTech product. This is for IT consulting. Accelerate India is actually supports our IT consulting global solutions. Tesseract Solutions is for big data solutions. So different, been involved in different opportunities at different point in time, and I really like it. So that's my thing. The next one is careers. So this is what up to this point, I mean, obviously it's for me personally, it's been fulfilling. Now let's talk about what is it that, why should you as an MBA grad consider this as a career, IT as a career. So this is a slide from the Bureau of Labor Statistics.gov. Okay, so here this is what the Bureau of Labor Statistics says, that in 2019, the median pay is 150K or 70 per hour, whatever it is. Typical entry level is bachelor's, but in MIS, but what I have seen is an additional training is always required on top of bachelor's if you want to really get a leg up and have good career there. The next one is work experience related occupation. 5 years or more, it's fine. So you are in this. If you're an MBA, obviously you don't need that much experience. So this is how I read into this data. The job outlook, they say, is going to grow 10%, much faster than the average. Okay, and actually, if you look at any other sites, the one point is consistent is that the job market is gonna grow consistently for the next 10 years, year on year. Okay, according to Business Insider. Okay, so they believe that the IT roles will have the highest potential to grow in the next 10 years. So it's an absolute statement there. It's not like the X or Y or Z there. I mean, these IT roles are going to grow. Okay, and it is consistent. So if we just Google it, and any basic research gives us lands us on the same inference. Okay, that's the financial part of it, and we now get a job, but is it the right job? Okay, so think about it. So what are some of the features, or like what are some of the things we look forward to in an IT career, a typical IT career? Okay, first one is it is ubiquitous. When we say ubiquitous, what we mean is in this world, everything that we do is software driven. Okay, um, so you want to, if you go to a hospital, earlier the doctor used to look at you, check you out with tools. Now there is a computer there with the software which is specific to that. If you go to a salon, hair salon, they have salon specific software there, so someone is writing software. So whatever we do, whichever facet of our life, software has touched it. And if there is a software, you need someone to manage it. Any business that you go to has to be managed, and there is an IT system behind the scenes that is being managed. When there is an IT system, you need someone to manage it. Okay, so that is the reason we believe like this is a job market that is going to grow consistently. Another way of looking at it is, obviously, if you are a welder, right? So there is a great market for you in the auto industry, as long as the auto industry is there. But IT, it's going to transcend across the industries. A typical example is, I can quote my own example. So I have worked in consumer goods. PetSmart is a pets, technology, distribution, healthcare applications, n number of applications. These are some of these are multi-level marketing. So what we see here is that as an IT professional, I can go across all these areas, but someone in Jafra, she can only sell the Jafra products. I don't think she would have the skill set to go into Dolby Labs and try to support their business there. Okay, so that is the good part about being in this market. So you will always find a job in one industry or another, as long as you have the skills to work through and support IT systems. Okay. Second one is it's purely skill based. So if you have the skill and if you have the knowledge, if you think about it, if to make similar salaries, there are very few jobs that can give you that kind of numbers. So generally, you have to be in some sales position, at least what I have seen, for the kind of money that we can make in IT, the comparable numbers, you have to be you have to be in a sales position, or you have to be in a really high position as a manufacturing person. To make what a typical business analyst makes, you have to be in a really high position, maybe manager, senior managerial position. And obviously, the work-life balance that is significantly different. As a business analyst, you are working in the home if you want to, from home, and you actually can take care of your kids. You can spend time with your family when they need you. But if you're for the same set of funds, if you are actually a sales manager in some auto industry or wherever, you have very little control on your schedule and everything. So again, some people like the latter and some people like the former. There is it goes both. It's fine, but it's just a distinct difference I have seen. I have noticed a benefit I have seen in this market. Okay, and obviously, if you think about it, this market has been pretty immune to the COVID pandemic. So people are working from home, and this is one of the quickest and the easiest thing that was transitioned out from office to the home without any issues, seamlessly. We can definitely say seamlessly. Very few positions were affected. Okay. Immigration opportunities. So again, this is relevant for international students. Uh, I think we all know that, okay, of all the H1B jobs, the H1B applications that are put in place, majority of them go to IT jobs. The reason is that there is very little workforce from the citizens or wherever. So when you put for it in the DOL, it's much easier to make a case that they cannot find someone with an IT skill set as compared to any other traditional skill set. So, and it has been the case for probably the last 15-20 years I have seen, barring a few years on and off where the market was really tightened down. The majority of the cases, we have seen that it's very easy to make a case in the IT sector for a H1B approval. It's again based on my observation. I have seen the statistics, but I have not done any readings. Just a disclaimer. Next one is typical job titles in IT. So if you are going to be in a job, so there are some of the jobs, again, as we said, so not all jobs in IT are for MBA. Okay, for example, hardware infrastructure, network support, those are not something that we would be working on. You need an engineering degree and you need some specialized skill set for those. But there are quite a few jobs in this space that do not require the engineering background. So the skill set required here is the Steve Jobs skill set that we were talking before. It's about the ability to communicate, ability to understand the market, ability to translate those requirements for the development team to work on, validate and verify what is getting built. Okay, so you still need some level of information technology skills. You still need some level of technical skills, but nowhere close to the deep Java programming or the Python programming or the all these complex big data programming languages or the skills that are required for some of these positions. Okay, user support. Okay, user support is standard. I mean, you could actually go which way. Database support, again, so I have seen a lot of places that database systems, if you know the concept, it's not complex. We don't have to go too deep. Professional programmers go to like very deep into it, but there are a lot of DB opportunities, support opportunities which MIS folks support. Obviously, management support, quality management, application support, software support, these are all areas that an MIS resource can support as a going in position, as a startup job after the MIS. Okay, let's get a little more into the detail, what an MBA MIS field is. As we were saying before, right? So if you are an employee in an IT department, it doesn't matter which market you are in or what is the size of your company. So there is always an opening for an IT resource. And when we say IT, we are not talking about the guy who's in the back office fixing laptops. We are talking about the resources who are designing and supporting information systems that actually help you do the business. So when you buy something, folks are entering it into some system, and the system is actually figuring out, okay, this customer is paying this much, this is what we have to do. Earlier humans used to do it. Now the system actually automatically does the calculations and comes back and gives you a receipt, right? So guys who are designing it and supporting it are required in every single organization. Okay, and some of the typical jobs that an MBA or an MIS grad has are software developer. I don't believe would be the best fit. Those are generally for engineers, and most of these development jobs get offshored out. So business analyst, project manager, test engineer, program manager, project manager, program manager, and a CIO. I'll get into a little more details in each of these roles. So what does a business analyst do? Okay, as a business analyst, let's say I am designing an application. When we say application, let's say I'm designing a system that a website to track um, something like admissions for IAU or for our college. Okay, so what as a business analyst, I have to work with the admissions team to understand what are the different ways admissions are captured. Then I have to understand, okay, once I get the admissions, how am I going to save it? How am I going to do it? What are the different rules that need to be applied? What are the rules and everything? The second thing is then, okay, now that the person has understood the admissions, the process, what are the things, what are the rules that need to be used for building, they go to the technical team and the technical team actually builds it out for them. Okay, that could be from here or maybe from offshore team, it doesn't matter. Okay, so after that, the next part is supporting the technical team. So if the technical team, they are building it, it's not like they are a, in a cave somewhere, right? So they're building it, they have questions. Hey, so what happens if this thing it doesn't work? What happens? What are your exceptions, etc.? So the business analyst continues to work with the technical team, or maybe they come back and say this cannot be done. Then they have to go back and work with the business users, like admissions. And say, hey, if you want to use this one, so financial scholarships cannot be put in short time or whatever it is, right? So a number of scenarios. So they actually figure it out and they actually move the development forward of this application. And they generally are also responsible for making sure everybody knows what is going on. So the admissions department has given the requirements and they don't know what is happening. So that's not how it works, right? So the business analysts generally keep all the stakeholders involved in the process. So they just inform business users, the development team, the testers, the students, and whoever it is, right? So okay, hey, this is what is going on. This is stay tuned. So this is a change we are bringing, etc. They also help with creating documentation and coordinating the testing activities. Okay, so that's a typical business analyst role. Um, as you can see, one thing is, so if you think about the role here, okay, I have not spoken anything about any Java skill set or Python skill set required. What we are really looking for is here your ability to understand the requirements, your communication skills, your aptitude for converting the understood requirements, synthesizing them into technical requirements, leadership, a certain level of leadership skills to help drive the development process. Okay, so these are some of the things that we typically learn from our MBA and some of the MIS courses. Okay, the MIS courses are useful because they actually give you a good insight into, they give you that comfort level, that feel for, okay, this is what you're going to do when you go into the world when you're working as a business analyst. So we give you that training upfront as part of the MIS classes. So that is how MIS classes will actually help you transition into a business analyst role. Okay. Next one is a typical task for a tester. Okay. Again, so generally, tester is a subset of is generally doesn't play as big a role as a business analyst, but depending on the industry and the market and the methodology of development, they play a key role. So there again, their thing is this. So a product is going to be built. So their single aim in life for the 8 hours of work is to break the system, because if they don't break it here, it's going to break in production, like it's going to break in the real world. And typically the cost of breaking it here, if it's $1, the cost to the company when it breaks in the real market is more than like $100 in some cases. and also there is a risk in the brand, everything. So that is why testing is a critical component of any information systems project or any software project for that matter. Okay, so again, so what does a typical tester do? They understand the application, they understand the different ways the application is used, domain knowledge if you think about it. Okay, document it, then they figure out how many ways, what are the different ways of using it, so make sure the system actually works when they use it the expected way. They also try to break it. Okay, what if scenarios, exception scenarios, right? So they try to break it, edge case scenarios, performance testing, etc. And then they give the feedback back to the development team or the business analyst to say, hey, so this is what we did, these are the things that work, these are the places where you would want to revisit your either a build or a design or whatever. And that is how you build a strong product. Okay, next, project manager. So if you are an MBA grad, you automatically have the leadership skills required to be a project manager. Okay, so in the MBA curriculum, we already take you through the skills required for understanding the implications and what are the impacts, risks involved in any activity. So we provide you that framework. Okay, so now for an MIS project, okay, so what we need is additional skills in conjunction with the skills, MBA skills. We need to understand, okay, how do systems behave? Okay, what is it that are risks that are system specific? What is it that we need to understand, the methodologies, the best practices involved in building the right system, understanding the scope, managing the scope, the operations aspect of it. Okay, what are the different methodologies involved in building a project plan or executing a project? So these are some of the training that we get in an information systems MIS program, MIS courses, typical MIS courses. So the MBA plus these particular courses will actually set you up perfectly for a role like project manager. Okay. Chief Information Officer, CIO. Obviously, this is a career progression. So we typically you start off as a business analyst, you understand the applications. At some point, as your career grows, you become a project manager. Or sometimes depending on the company and your prior experience, maybe you become a project manager right off the bat once you complete your MIS, MBA program at some MIS courses or whatever. And there you are actually managing a project, including the financial aspect, not just the application part of it, but also the finances, the scope, the risk, etc. Then eventually you grow to a position where you are managing multiple projects, like a program manager or something. And from there onwards, obviously, the logical growth for you is at some point to become a chief information officer or a chief technology officer. Okay, chief information officer now has his role is not really, doesn't really care about building an application. His thing is about having a vision, understanding the business. That comes from again his experience and his MBA background to put a framework around the business, and his experience as an MIS resource, the information systems knowledge, as well as his growth and experience in that space. So he has the capability to understand both the market, the business of the company, as well as the capabilities of his information systems. Okay, so now his strength or his general work description in most cases is to have a vision. So basically a CEO has a vision for the company. Okay, this is my roadmap, this is the products I'm going to build, this is how the business I'm going to build, and the CIO's job is to support that vision. So he will have his own plan, his own roadmap to support that particular plan. Okay, if you're going to increase, if you're going to buy two companies and increase your customer base from 1,000 to 10,000, okay, let me go build up my systems to support that level of data. Or if you're gonna if you believe risk management is going to be an issue. Let me go help build some products around the risk management so that the company doesn't have to pay fines for compliances or whatever. Okay, so that is how a CIO supports business and his CEO. Okay, and clearly providing leadership vision and handling the company resources correctly are some of the key skills that are required at that point. And these again obviously get built up uh, from the ground when he joins. Obviously, the skill set that is required here, the training required here is in some form of an MBA and knowledge of information systems. So that's where he starts too. Okay. So we saw some of the roles. Okay, so let's look at what is it that gives you the best possibility of joining a particular career in this market. Okay, if you want to be a developer, typically you need a degree in technology or some training in software packages. Okay, like SAP, ABAP, or Java or Python or whatever it is. Even if you don't have a degree, you can get trained in those, and I've seen folks easily join the market with that skills. Second thing is system administration. Again, it's a technology intensive job. You need to have a strong understanding of how the systems work and everything. But the next job, business analyst, testing analyst, and project manager, pretty much the job profile, the skills required you gain from an MBA program and some courses in MIS, so that you get that exposure to apply your MBA skills in that particular area. Okay. Coming to as a potential IAU recruit or a current student of IAU. So what are this is some of the offerings that we are considering from March and in the future, so that we can help the students who are interested in this particular career. So first one is MIS 550. This is about managing ERP planning. So this is ERP is enterprise resource planning. So managing ERP systems or management for managers basically. So the course here deals with gives you an understanding of okay, what are the different types of areas. Okay, so if you're looking at a particular company, there is a what do you call that, sales area which deals with sales. Okay, how are you going to sell, how are you going to manage the inventory, how are you going to receipt, how are you going to bill, how are you going to collect the cash, what are the collections. Then there is the finance part of it. Finance part purely deals with okay, so which account hits what. Okay, when you sell, okay, what is the revenue account. Okay, how are you going to how are you going to update the revenue accounts. So how are you going to update your inventory, reduce your inventory with every sale, etc. So these are all just pure financial part of it. Then again, so P2P is around marketing, so materials management, etc. So you have to buy stuff to sell it. For example, if you are selling a car, you need to buy two wheels, four wheels, so one steering wheel, couple of seats, two doors, and one chassis or whatever it is, right, to build a car. So some of these you will make them in house, and some you will buy from outside, right? So the system that helps you figure it out. Let's say I get an order of 100 cars. Someone has to figure out and say, okay, you go buy 400 wheels and go make 100 chassis. So the system does that for you. And also the system has to tell you, don't make all 400 wheels right now. I don't know where to store it. So make sure you make 10 wheels every 2 weeks or whatever. Okay, the scheduling part of it or whatever. So all of this comes into the ERP. So it's a pretty complex system. It's a pretty actual fun system if you get to know it. This course pretty much deals with okay, how do these systems work. There are like multiple systems. It could be QuickBooks, it could be SAP, Oracle. There are multiple systems. So we actually give examples of SAP, and we give actual exposure to SAP here, as well as QuickBooks, to help give you exposure to help understand how ERP works. This course also deals with how the projects are run. Okay, if you are building an ERP system or supporting an ERP system, what are the things that you need to know? What are the typical skills that you need to build, etc. So we actually get into those level of details too. It's a pretty uh, it's not a very intensive course, but at the same time um, you have to put some time into it. But if someone who is interested in this particular area, I'm fairly sure that they will love to they will like it. Okay. The next one is MIS 560, deals with the database management systems. See, the bottom line is any course you take, okay, in any any information system you take, end of the day deals with some database. You are actually storing the data, right? So whether it is on your computer or on a server or somewhere, the data is being stored. Okay, so 560 deals with how the database is stored. We don't go too deep into it. Again, we are not. The idea is not to make you a database expert and choose a career in deep technologies on the database side. But the idea is, as a business analyst or testing or a project manager, you should have a clear understanding of what is a database management system, how does it work, what are the basics on the database management system. So that is the objective of this particular course. MIS 555 is business analytics. Business analytics is another growing area. This is actually I wouldn't say growing. I would actually say booming area. With the inflow of the volume of data that is getting generated nowadays. See, earlier on, if you think about it, our system had um, um, a few MB, a few hundred MB of data. Okay, now it is pretty much but terabytes of data that is getting stored in our laptop itself. But think about an enterprise which has 100,000 employees. The volume of data they must be storing. Okay, great. So they are storing the data. But now, if they don't, if I have 10, if I have to search for something in 10 pages, I can find it in a book. But if I have to find the same word in 1,000 pages, that's not very optimal for me. I need some algorithms around it. I need some complex process. Same thing. As the volume of data has grown significantly, so has the need to build advanced analytics system. There are two parts to it. One, that analytics become complex, but at the same time, given the volume of the data, the quality of the analytics has also gone up significantly. There are some systems that use AI, machine learning, and all these things where they can actually predict some events to a very high probability. Okay, just purely driven by the volume of the data and the algorithms they build. So this program gives an insight into that area. Okay, what are all the different types of methods of collecting the data, like what are the different tools involved in doing it, how do we do it, what are the different technologies involved. Again, the intent is not to make you a Tableau expert or a big data programmer or whatever it is, but the idea is, as a business analyst or a project manager, you should have the understanding of if you are in this space, you should know exactly, okay, this is what is being done, these are the options, this is what is being done, and this is the scope, these are the risks. So our idea is to give you that level of training, and with some practical examples. Obviously, all of the MIS courses that we are looking at, okay, if you think about it, the main reason we are giving this is to give you skills that are industry ready. Like once you go out of the school, once you are done with the IIU program, the bridge between your program graduation and the next job, especially in the information system, the gap there should be smaller. The bridge should be able to cover up, the skill should be able to give you that bridge. Okay, so that means giving you real life examples from our work experience, or it could be from case studies that we have seen elsewhere, etc. The next one is same applies for everything. So 565 is about information technology, audit and risk management. So this is again a key area, especially in some industries like healthcare, pharma, finance, where it is really crucial that the integrity of the systems is maintained and managed on a regular basis, very rigorously. Okay, so so there are a lot of techniques, there are a lot of methodologies that are applied. There are actually some certifications as well if you choose to do it. But the idea is again, we want to give the MBA candidates an insight into what are all these methodologies, what are the risks, how do you go about if you end up owning an IT department or an IT system, what are the things that you need to consider to make sure that you're managing the risk correctly, you're managing the compliance correctly, what are the right questions to ask, and what is the right documentation that you need to make. Okay, so that is what you can expect out of 565. 570 is again actually a fun topic. It's managing complex IT projects. Um, it's part of life. Complex is again a subjective word, but the idea is the idea is actually we get the folks to understand, okay, what are the different types of projects, what are the different methodologies, who are the different stakeholders involved, what is their angle in terms of what are the things they look for, how do you support each stakeholder with their objectives. Okay, how do you manage a project, what are the different ways to manage a project, how do you manage scope, how do you manage the budget. Okay, so these are all some of the areas, and change management is another key topic that needs to be handled. So n number of like dimensions involved in every complex IT project. So the idea of this particular topic is to actually give you an insight into this, and then give you an example of a live IT project, and help you simulate the scenarios here, and help you actually experience some of those issues or the thought process, so that you are prepared for the real life situation. How to register? So for new students, obviously, I think the best way is actually you can shoot an email to the admissions at iaula.edu and schedule a phone appointment or a Google video. Very helpful and very friendly folks out there. I have found them very knowledgeable. They have been able to answer every and any question I had for them so far. You can also review the IAU's admission portfolio, which has the details. And okay, and obviously, like we can do that. And if you still have any questions, you can reach out to the admissions IAULA.edu. So irrespective, so you have both the options available to you, depending on your time and preference. For current students, okay, so if you're a current student who are enrolled in an MBA program and are interested in exploring some of these courses, okay, you can reach out to the Office of Student Support. We all know the email, studentsupport@iaula.edu, or you can reach the front office, and then I think that they should be able to give you all the specifics that you need for supporting for moving forward with this particular class. Any questions, clarifications?
Naveen, I had a question for you. So when you showed the companies that you have founded, it looked like there was about 6 or 7 of them. I'm just wondering if you're still involved in all the daily operations of all of those companies.
Yes. So this is the one. So this is an active. So we are very actively. So this is actually growing very quickly. Excelsis360.com. So we are actually invited for some of the awards. So we are competing for some of the awards. I think it's gonna be it's a pretty exciting thing, and like this is where most of my time goes. So does the Accelerate Consulting. So this is where we support a lot of the Fortune 500 companies with some of their IT needs, whether it is solving a problem or providing them resources to solve a problem or running a project for them, etc. Okay. Intellect Brains was something we founded a few years ago. We ran with it for a couple of years and then exited because I didn't have the commitment. I couldn't commit the time needed. Accelerate India and Accelerate Global Solutions are very active, are being any development that I need, that the programming part of any for the Excelsis360.com Accelerate Education Solutions happens in Accelerate India and Global Solutions. These companies also support a lot of K-12 and colleges with some after-school programs and some other initiatives that we have, okay, for graduate foreign studies, etc. Okay. Tesseract Solutions, I play a minor role. So we had a major role earlier on. So this is purely built for big data related projects. So we actually, what we did is we bought a company called Big Data Gurukul, and then we rebranded it as a Tesseract Solutions. So we have a couple of clients out of Chicago. So it's not one of those $1 million. So this is not gonna, no one is gonna get like really, this is not gonna be in use for funding or whatever. So, but it is there. So I was actively working on it for a couple of years, and I had an opportunity to sell off my stake to some investors. So I'm out of it. Clips and Colors is actually a pretty old this is one of my initial things I started. It's actually a hair salon. We just started it because I found the business interesting. But then I figured out I was not I didn't have the right skill set. So, and I exited. Yeah. So,
a lot of work.
yeah. Yes. But it's a pretty exciting work. So I really enjoy the work so I really enjoy some of the things, most of the things I'm doing. It does need a lot of time. I have a family to support. See, that's a good part, right? So because this is in IT industry, so most of the work I can do it from home. So my calls are happening from home and everything. So when I have to talk to my kids or take them out, I still get a chance to take them out. So I'm with them when they need me. But other than every other time, I'm actually either working the teams in India or teams here.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
I don't see any other questions in the chat, so I think if you'd like to wrap it up, then we will be ready to go.
Okay. So again, thank you again. Really appreciate you guys taking the time out to check out this video and attend the session. Truly excited about this opportunity to actually let's see. So let me know if you have any questions. So please feel free to reach out to the admissions, the office, or to me or IAU, and would be really looking forward to answering this question. Thank you.